Modern endurance road bikes wear many hats. They're expected to be nearly as fast as race bikes while coming close to the capability of gravel rigs, all while being comfortable enough for long days in the saddle. This versatility makes them some of the most popular bikes on the market right now. And in this video, we've got our hand-picked list of 5 of our favorites. But we want to hear from you. Let us know down there in the comments which one you like the best. If you would have asked me a few years ago what I thought about endurance bikes, I would have told you they represented a softer, less performance-oriented bike, oftentimes for newer riders. But the winner of our first award, the best high-end road bike, which is going to go to the Cervelo Caledonia 5 Dura-Ace Di2, really wants to put this claim to rest. The bike retails for a whopping $11,500 and weighs just 16.3 pounds or 7.4 kilograms. As you've probably seen by now, Cervelo's passion for speed and racing definitely comes through on this endurance bike. It's got aero tubing and fully hidden brake lines and cables. That said, it still has clearance for up to 34mm tires, and better yet, for those of you who like riding year-round, it is fender compatible. Now, moving on to the geometry, and once again, you see the bike's raciness come through here. This bike has the lowest stack-to-reach ratio of all the bikes on our list, giving it the most aero and racy riding position. More specifically, the 54cm frame has a reach of 378mm and a stack height of 555mm. That's paired with some stubby 415mm chainstays and a relatively steep 72-degree head tube angle. And all that's going to make for a bike that's still very capable on mixed terrain and comfortable on longer rides, but still just as fast and racy as you'd expect from a brand like Cervelo. Lastly, the Caledonia 5 is available in 6 sizes, 48cm all the way up to 61cm, that Cervelo claims can fit riders from 4'11" up to 6'7". As the name would imply, the model we've chosen for our list today comes with the Shimano Dura-Ace Di2 drivetrain. It also features Cervelo's own integrated stem that allows for up to 15mm of stack adjustment without using any spacers. Moving on to the wheels, the Caledonia 5 comes with some reserve 40/44 wheels, which are wider and shallower in the front, mixed with a narrower, taller rear wheel to maximize stability without compromising speed. These wheels are wrapped with some 28mm Corsa Control tires. So who is the Cervelo Caledonia 5 Dura-Ace Di2 for? Well, if you are a race-oriented rider who just wants a little bit more comfort, or maybe a little bit more adaptable bike if you occasionally take your bike off of smooth tarmac, then this is the bike for you, as long as you can pay for it, because that $11,500 price tag is pretty steep. And for that reason, we are going to give this bike 4 out of 5 goats. The part spec is impeccable, the geometry is spot on for someone wanting a racier endurance bike, but again, with that higher price tag, we couldn't quite give it a full 5 out of 5. Now, if that bike was just a little bit steep for you, then I think you're going to appreciate our next category. Because next up, we're talking about the best budget endurance bike. And the winner here is the Specialized Allay Sport. And at just $1,800, this aluminum endurance bike is a killer deal. The bike is extremely lightweight for an aluminum road bike, weighing just 19.9 pounds or 9 kilograms. And that's thanks in large part to the well thought out hydroformed aluminum tubing that Specialized has employed on this bike. The frame also features clean welds and internal cable routing that really mirrors the look of a higher end carbon bike. Next, it not only is fender compatible, but also has rack mounts and clearance for up to 35mm tires, making it a great option if you want one bike to use for commuting as well as recreational riding. Moving on then to the geometry, and we at 99 Spokes love it when we see companies put high-end geometry on more budget-priced bikes because, let's be real, geometry is free, and that's exactly what Specialized has done with the Allay. The bike is available in 7 sizes, from 44cm up to 61cm, that should fit riders anywhere from 4'8" to 6'5". This is right in line with the other high-end bikes on this list. For reference, the 54cm frame has a 370mm reach, 569mm stack height, a 72-degree head tube angle, 425mm chainstays, and finally a 998mm wheelbase. In addition to that relatively performance-oriented geometry, you're also going to get some pretty high-end parts, at least given the price on the Allay. One of the things that helps keep the weight down under 20 pounds is a full carbon fiber fork. The LA also has a full Shimano Tiagra drivetrain and brakes, as well as tubeless ready alloy wheels that are wrapped in some 30mm specialized road sport tires that are sadly not tubeless ready. All in all, the Specialized LA Sport is a phenomenal deal at just $1,800 and is a great option for riders looking to get a comfortable but still performance-oriented drop bar bike on a budget. And for that reason, we are going to have to give it a full 5 out of 5 goats. The frame itself is very upgradable, so if you wanted to put some higher end components to bring that weight down even more, you could absolutely do so. Our next category is the best lightweight endurance bike, and the winner here is the Canyon Endurace CFR Axis. And before my fellow bike nerds get at me down there in the comments reminding me that yes, this Endurace actually does weigh a hair bit more than its previous generation, that's because the new bike features some really cool tech that will actually make it faster on the road, albeit just a hair heavier. And one of those features is the load integrated top tube storage that allows you to carry Canyon's proprietary toolkit in your frame as opposed to on top of it. The bike also has clearance for up to 35mm tires and fully hidden cable routing through the CP0018 Aero cockpit that we'll be talking about in a moment. It's also worth noting that the CFR frame that we're talking about here was made alongside the legendary aerodynamics company Swisside to maximize not only aero, but also speed and comfort. Moving on then to the geometry, and the Endurace is offered in a whopping 8 sizes, all the way from triple extra small to double XL, fitting riders from 4'6" to 7'2". The Canyon Endurace has the highest stack to reach ratio of any bike on our list, meaning it's going to have the most upright and relaxed riding position. For context, the size medium has a 378mm reach and a 590mm stack. It also has the steepest head tubing on the list at 72.75 degrees on a medium, and some short 415mm chainstays that give the bike a very short 993mm wheelbase. And this combination of one of the most upright riding positions with the steepest head tube angle and shortest wheelbase is pretty cool. It's going to mean that the bike is relatively comfortable and upright to ride, but still very sporty and agile when you want to take things fast. Speaking of fast, I mentioned earlier that this new generation of Enduraces comes with Canyon's own CP0018 Aero cockpit. This allows for fully internal cable routing and 40mm of width adjustment with 15mm of stack adjustment built into the setup. The Endurace also features Canyon's VCLS 2.0 seat post, which has 20mm of vertical compliance. The bike also comes with SRAM's highest end red E-Tap Access group set with a Cork power meter included. Finally, the bike rolls on some DT Swiss ERC 1100 carbon wheels with a deep aero-inspired 45mm profile. These are wrapped in 30mm Schwalbe Pro 1 TLE tires. And that is a seriously high-end spec attached to a pretty dang lightweight frame, all for under $8,500. And while that's far from cheap, it still is a pretty dang good value considering what you get for your money. And for that reason, the Canyon Endurace CFR Access is going to get a full 5 out of 5 goats. I actually had the privilege of riding a lower end version of this bike, the Endurace CF SLX 8, about a month ago, and I really enjoyed the bike. If you want to watch a review of that video, I'll go ahead and link that somewhere up here. You can check that out when you're done with this video. Before we move on to our second to last category though, which just so happens to be my favorite out of the 5 bikes on this list, I wanted to real quick stop and ask that if you're enjoying this video, if you could help us out real quick, just by hitting that little thumb button right there, that one. Yeah, good, hit that. And then, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to our channel, that would be awesome too. We upload a new video every Friday, and that way you don't miss another one just like this. Now, on to our winner for the best all-road endurance bike, which is going to the Trek Domane SL7. This bike retails for $6,829 and weighs 18.2 pounds or 8.3 kilograms. The Domane features Trek's signature camtail carbon fiber frame and fork that help to increase aerodynamics and decrease weight. It also has a very roomy down tube internal storage compartment, as well as some additional mounting points on top of the top tube, and it is fender compatible. Speaking to this bike's ability to perform on all types of mixed terrain, the Domane can fit up to 38mm tires. That's the widest of any bike on this list, and it comes with Trek's own ISO-speed system on the back of the frame that decouples the seat tube from the frame, allowing for more vertical compliance without compromising pedaling efficiency. And new to this 4th generation Domane SL is that the damper on the ISO-speed setup is actually adjustable, so you can fine-tune how soft or firm you want your bike to feel. Moving on then to the geometry, and the Domane is offered in 8 sizes, from 47cm up to 62cm, which Trek says will fit riders 5 foot to 6'5". Similar to the Endurace we talked about a moment ago, the Domane has a very high stack to reach ratio, meaning you're going to get that nice upright and comfortable riding position. More specifically, the 54cm frame has a reach of 374mm and a stack height of 575mm. It also has the slackest head tube of any bike on our list today at 71.3 degrees on a 54cm frame, and the longest wheelbase of 1010mm, once again on that 54. This speaks to the bike's ability to maintain stability even on rough terrain. Moving on to the spec, and the Domane SL7 comes with a Shimano Ultegra Di2 drivetrain. It also comes with some Bontrager Aeolus carbon fiber wheels with an aerodynamic 37mm profile. These are wrapped in some 32mm Bontrager R3 tires, which, as you can see from that picture, are some of the most aggressive on the list, making it that much more suitable for taking on and off-road. Lastly, something I really appreciate about the Domane is it comes with size-specific handlebars, stem, and crank length. This is going to make it that much easier to dial in the bike's fit for you and be less additional parts that you'll need to purchase during that fitting process. All in all, I think the Trek Domane SL7 really speaks to the essence of what an endurance bike can be. It's fast, comfortable, and able to ride on a variety of terrain. And for that reason, we are going to have to give it 4.5 out of 5 goats. The only thing holding it back from that perfect score is it's a wee bit on the heavier side of the spectrum and it's relatively expensive. But again, you are getting a lot of really nice components for that price. And like I said at the beginning here, it is my favorite bike of all 5 we're talking about today. Now, moving on to our last category, which is the best value endurance bike. And if you're saying to yourself, wait a second, we already talked about that. Well, that was the best budget bike, but now we're talking about value. In other words, what are you getting for your money? And the winner here is going to be the Cube Attain GTC SLX, which costs just $2,649 and weighs 19.2 pounds or 8.7 kilograms. The engineers at Cube have designed the carbon fiber frame on the Attain to have flexibility built into that rear end to help dampen some of those vibrations coming from the road. The bike also has internal cable routing through the frame, but not through the bars or stem, which might not look quite as clean or be as aerodynamic, but will definitely be a lot easier to work on. Lastly, the frame is fender compatible and has clearance for just 28mm tires, which is the narrowest of any bike on our list. The Attain is available in 6 sizes, from 50 to 62 centimeters, and is on the more aggressive side of the spectrum. For reference, a 53cm frame has a 376mm reach, a 561mm stack height, 72-degree head tube angle, some nice short 415mm chainstays, and a equally short 995mm wheelbase. All in all, like the Caledonia 5 we talked about earlier, the Cube Attain is a great option for someone who still wants a racy bike but is looking for just a bit more comfort as well as capability on mixed terrain. Moving on then to the part spec, and this is where the value of the Attain really comes out. Starting with the drivetrain, it features a Shimano 105 Di2 setup, and it's pretty dang cool to see electronic shifting and a carbon fiber frame for less than $3,000. You'll also get some Newman Performance R32 aluminum wheels that will be wrapped in 28mm Continental Grand Sport Race SL tires. Lastly, just like the Domane, the Attain comes with size-specific handlebar width, stem length, and crank length, which again increases the value of this bike because that's less money you're going to have to pay at the bike shop when you get this thing fitted to you down the road. So if you're trying to get the best part spec for the least amount of money on a performance-oriented endurance bike, then the Cube Attain GTC SLX is going to be pretty dang hard to beat. And for that reason, we're going to have to give it 4.5 out of 5 goats. There's only 2 things holding it back here. First up is the tire clearance. With a max tire clearance of just 28 millimeters, that will prevent some riders who are wanting to increase comfort or increase versatility of this bike just a little bit more. The other thing is its weight. At just under 20 pounds, it's definitely not light, but you could lighten this bike up quite a bit by putting on some carbon fiber wheels and maybe some lighter weight tires. The combination of speed, comfort, and capability are what make endurance bikes some of the most interesting and popular bikes on the market right now. And now that you've heard our list of the top 5 bikes we would choose, I want to hear from you. Let me know down there in the comments what your favorite endurance bike is, as well as if you have any questions about the bikes we talked about today, or really any cycling related questions at all. While you're down there, please go ahead and subscribe to the 99 Spokes YouTube channel if you have not done so already. And lastly, remember that bikes are for everyone. Have fun out there.